Another special vintage Patrick Mahomes performance has the Kansas City Chiefs back in the Super Bowl for the third time in 4 seasons. And I would make the case of the Super Bowl appearances, this was the most special of them all. This on Sunday was a defining performance of Patrick Mahomes' career. 2 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions, 326 yards in the air, ran for that monster first down on 3rd down to make sure that the Chiefs were able to win in regulation, and with the personal foul, Butker kicks from 45, and there's no overtime. The ability to play like John Elway meets Steph Curry, vintage Patty Mahomes, make that run, make the impossible possible on one ankle? Wow. That was the signature performance of Patrick Mahomes' career. If he never plays another down, he's already a Hall of Famer. 5 years as the starter, played on Championship Sunday 5 times, 3 Super Bowl appearances, going to win another MVP. Patrick Mahomes is off the charts. And you got to remember, when it comes to these Chiefs making the Super Bowl this year, they traded Tyreek Hill. What a job by Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, by Chris Jones. Here's the deal when it comes to this version of the Kansas City Chiefs. They are motivated. I love when Travis Kelce called the Cincinnati mayor a jabroni with Jim Nantz on the stage. I mean, the dopey mayor's talking smack, Burrowhead, my derriere. I mean, Mike Hilton was talking, everyone was talking, and Chris Jones shut everyone up. That sack right there on 3rd and 8, that was one of the biggest plays of the game. Chris Jones was unstoppable, unblockable. That's the thing about these Chiefs. They have these unbelievable stars who have this incredible knack for playing their best when it matters the most. Andy Reid is sensational. The fact that this version was able to get the 1 seed, get the bye, beat a team that has more talent. I don't regret anything I said last week in picking Cincinnati. The Bengals are better. The Chiefs win the AFC. This team is unbelievable. They're motivated. They're brilliantly coached. And they have a mega-starred quarterback who defies logic. Wow, I just feel absolutely terrible for my guy Brock Purdy. Injured early in the NFC Championship, and that was it for San Francisco. And that's it for Brock Purdy. Suffered a torn UCL at his right elbow, and just devastating news. And here we go again now with quarterback questions for the San Francisco 49ers. And I never anticipated that we would say no chances Brock Purdy, the starting quarterback for San Francisco for next season after Championship Sunday. But look, Brock's likely going to need surgery. He's not going to throw a football until late July, early August at the earliest. Trey Lance, I mean, this is a theater of the absurd here. Trey Lance broke his ankle week 2. He was done for the year. Jimmy G broke his foot week 13. Heck, even poor Josh Johnson, who just should have never been playing on Championship Sunday, he got knocked out of the conference championship. And nobody on the board should start for San Francisco next season, because this team is loaded. Kyle Shanahan's team is loaded. What did I say all offseason, all season? Best in the NFL, 2 through 53. And they made the trade for Christian McCaffrey to go for the jugular, go for the Super Bowl, and I loved every single second of it. But Kyle Shanahan needs to give the attention and love and respect and pay the homage to the talent at the most important position in all of sports. Look, Trey Lance never made any sense, and we destroyed that pick. We killed it, giving up 3 first-round picks to trade all the way up for a kid out of North Dakota who has a ton of talent but has no experience on the collegiate level, and now 2 years on the NFL level. Remember, Trey Lance played 1 game his final season in college because of the COVID situation, so that never made any sense. We said if you're going to take a quarterback there, take Mac Jones because he's plug and play. Could have been Kirk Cousins or Matt Ryan Ryan for Kyle Shanahan? That wasn't the case. And, then they messed around with Jimmy Garoppolo and, didn't know if he was going to live or die after the draft in 2021. And that was a mess. And they locked him out last year. And then they saw Trey Lance against the Houston Texans, couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. And, Jimmy J is back. So now let's bring it all full circle. And in February of 2020, right after they lost in the Super Bowl, where Jimmy Garoppolo missed a wide-open Emmanuel Sanders, and if he hit him, he would have caught it, San Francisco wins the Super Bowl, I said you have to sign Tom Brady. In 2020, I begged Kyle Shanahan, sign Tom Brady. And now I'm begging Kyle Shanahan, bring Tom Brady home. He doesn't play at a GOAT's level anymore, but it's go time to bring the GOAT home. If he can do this, San Francisco wins the Super Bowl. And I think at the end of the day, Tom Brady will put up better numbers with a great offensive line and great coaching and great defense and great weapons. And it's his hometown team. And he grew up as a Niners fan. And he was there when the catch was made by Dwight Clark against Dallas in the back of the end zone. And Tom Brady needs to be the quarterback. He's an unrestricted free agent now. Would I pick up the phone and call the Packers about Aaron Rodgers, just like Kyle Shanahan did to his credit in 2021? Yes, of course. And, Aaron Rodgers thought he was going to be drafted originally by San Francisco. Instead, they took Alex Smith, number 1 overall in the 2005 draft, and the rest is history. It feels like Rodgers is going to be traded. Sounds like the Packers, and I get it, want to trade him at the end of the day, want to trade Aaron Rodgers to the Jets or to Tennessee or the Raiders, someone outside of the NFC, and I get that. But look, if you're Kyle Shanahan, you got to pick up the phone. Heck, you got to pick up the phone and call Minnesota about your guy, Kirk Cousins. And Kyle Shanahan, say what you want about Kirk Cousins. He created Kirk Cousins in Washington. He was the reason Kirk Cousins had a career. They love each other. I always thought they would reunite one day in San Francisco. But this one now is easy. Just like it was easy when you take a look at 2020. It's Tom Brady. Look, Brock Purdy can learn from the GOATs. The depth chart next year should be Tom Brady number 1, Brock Purdy number 2. Jimmy Garoppolo, thanks for the memories. He's solid. He can't stay healthy. They wanted to get rid of him this past year, the year before that. Jimmy needs to go, and he will. He'll never wear a 49er uniform again. Trey Lance, you just can't trust him. Look, the deal was awful. We said it in real time. It never made any sense. So just cut your losses. I bet there's a market for Trey Lance. Not a robust market, but would Atlanta want him and put him with the Falcons and Arthur Smith? Would Tennessee want him? I think that could be a possibility. Maybe New Orleans, maybe Tampa Bay. There could be a market for Trey Lance, or keep him around with Tom Brady and Brock Purdy. So I don't say this with any joy or jubilation. Things change in the NFL. I mean, you look at players, and you heard Brock Purdy talk about the pain that he has for all the veterans. This was supposed to be a year where San Francisco won the Super Bowl. And then last year was supposed to be a year where Jimmy Garoppolo had to save the season from Trey Lance, and they lost on Championship Sunday against the Rams. It's all there for these 49ers. You just need the quarterback. Kyle, I begged you in 2020. I'm begging you now. Bring Tom Brady home. Welcome back. Time to shine. Ton of great stuff to get off my chest on a Tuesday, starting with Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati will never get over this AFC Championship loss until Joe Burrow wins the Super Bowl, because they had it. They had golden opportunities. They were the better team on the field, and they blew it. And Joe Burrow, you can't throw 2 interceptions in Burrowhead, right? All the teammates saying it's his house in Arrowhead. You can't do it. And those were untimely interceptions, and that's kind of a big deal. The offensive line did not come to play. Chris Jones, as we said earlier in the show, was unstoppable. And you look into the crystal ball on what's next here for this team, and there are a lot of issues. And if Joe Burrow is going to get his contract and how that impacts everything. And, you also got to play smarter. And there are a lot of issues with officiating, but it stinks that they had to make this call, but it's a no-brainer. Patty Mahomes is in the white, clearly out of bounds, and I feel terrible for Osei that he's crying, and obviously that's going to stick to his name and his ribs until Cincinnati wins a championship. But that was right out of the Marvin Lewis Bungles playbook. That's when Cincinnati and Vontaze Burfict would do really dumb stuff in big spots. That's not acceptable. That's a terrible job. They couldn't run the ball. Joe Mixon was stuck in the mud. So Burrow's got to get paid. He needs his contract. You take a look at T. Higgins. Is he going to be there? Is he going to get his contract? What's going to happen with the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator? The AFC is ultra difficult. The AFC North, you're going to have the Browns getting better. You're going to have the Steelers getting better. We'll see what happens with Lamar Jackson, but if he gets his deal, then the Ravens are going to be better. Not that I'm not going to pick Cincinnati to make the playoffs again or win big again, but it was all there. That close to winning the Super Bowl against the Rams a couple of years ago, and now this is pain. And with all the talk all week long, we said it last week, it's all there for Cincinnati to not just beat the Chiefs, win the Super Bowl, and you don't play your best in the process. That is a bad loss for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, with all that said, I got to get this off my chest. What in the world were the officials doing on Championship Sunday? And if I was a Bengals fan, I would be absolutely livid with regards to the officiating in this game. I mean, the extra third down out of nowhere, this was a lack of control. This was unacceptable. And if I'm Zach Taylor, I, without question, would have been going nuts here as well. This had, NFL rigged being trending on Twitter. By the way, the NFL is not rigged, but there was just no command in any way, shape, or form. The 3rd and 7 pass interference on Mike Hilton, that was a terrible call. You could count all the blocks in the back on the Sky Moore kickoff, and that was big, obviously, setting up the Patrick Mahomes run, which set up the game-winning field goal. There were, on the Patrick Mahomes run, there was a blatant hold of Trey Hendrickson. There was listen, we praise Kansas City, we criticize Cincinnati, but if I am a fan of the Bengals, I would never get over it. Look, the NFC title game was a disaster, too, with the officiating. What transpired with Devontae Smith? He clearly dropped that ball. Wasn't even up for discussion. If you're not going to use the eye in the sky, why is the eye in the sky even there? Roughing the punter? That was a disastrous call. All those PIs and defensive holdings at the end of the second quarter? That was a mess. So I had a lot of issues with the officiating, a disaster, top to bottom on Championship Sunday. Got to get this off my chest. The Philadelphia Eagles are an absolute juggernaut. Congrats to my guy, Howie Roseman, on assembling an absolute machine. And look, we talked about this throughout the course of the season, but this was special. And the ability for Jalen Hurts to run and throw and lead and dominate. Look, this is a legendary season for Philly. It's arguably the greatest regular season in the history of Eagles football. They smashed teams, absolutely destroyed them. Look at that point differential in the playoffs. Again, and we talked about it earlier, there were major injuries at the quarterback position for San Francisco, but they played it the right way. And Hassan Reddick was the best player on Championship Sunday in either game. This guy is a stud, and he deserves the recognition for being the best player on defense on this incredible defense for the Philadelphia Eagles. And look at what Howie Roseman did this offseason. We talked about all these moves in real time. What he did in the defensive backfield with Gardner Johnson and Bradbury, that was extraordinary. The Reddick move, I mean, the numbers in the postseason are phenomenal. 3 straight years now for Hassan Reddick with 3 different teams in terms of double-digit sacks. And we made a monster deal about the A.J. Brown trade in real time here on Time to Shine, because that meant that Jalen Hurts was the quarterback, and this was going to help out Jalen and help out Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, and it did. And credit our guy, Nick Sirianni. He did a fabulous job. And listen, I had questions about the hire, and then his introductory press conference, and last year he's talking about planting and gardening. This worked out brilliantly. And the Philadelphia Eagles are a juggernaut, a machine. They're fun. This was the residue of phenomenal design, and it is a joy to watch Howie Roseman's work in action week in and week out.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell for more videos.